Good morning, bakers and makers. Welcome back to Global Bakes. This is Tanya, and today we're going to make a Celtic Pointillism cake. I've already got my cake and my icing ready, so let's get started. I do have a design here that I've cut a stencil. This was a hand-drawn design that I then scanned into my computer, digitized, and cut a stencil using my Cameo. This is just the easiest way to transfer the design by using a little bit of white on white icing. This way I don't have to try to hand draw or hand pipe this design. I'm going to start with black icing because if you've ever looked at any Celtic knot type of designs, most of them do have some kind of an outline around the design, and this is going to help to make the design really stand out. So I'm just taking black icing and I am piping very small dots all the way around all of the raised portions of the icing where I transferred that design over. There's just a little bit of a different angle. You can see how I hold the piping bag just to kind of keep the tip of it a little bit stable. I am using a size 1 piping tip on all of the colored icings. This does take a while. This is a little bit of a test of your patience sometimes because it does take a while. I do recommend, in order to keep the cramping in your hand down, maybe just do a portion at a time, and that makes it a little bit easier on your hand to get all this piping done. I start with one color, do the entire design with that one color, and then go in with the next one. Another tip for you is if you do ever want to try the Pointillism design technique on a cake, I highly recommend you do what I'm doing here and make your first design on the top of a cake. It's very difficult sometimes when you want to do Pointillism on the side of a cake. You end up having to bend over. It hurts your back, it hurts your neck. It's very tough on the arms, and there's a lot more area that you have to pipe. So doing it on the top really saves you some time. Here I'm adding some of a darker red color, and this is just the areas that would normally be in shadow. The areas on a Celtic knot that go underneath another part of the design should have a little bit of a shadow, so I'm doing them in a darker color. And I just go around and do any area that looks like it would go under another part of the design. Just putting a few dots. I don't make this in a very strict manner. I kind of just play with it, kind of just add a little here and there. And I don't make it a real straight look. I kind of taper it off a little bit, and then I go back in with a lighter color. Now these colors are probably a little bit more drastic in color tones than I would probably normally use, but I'm using the lighter color here, going back and filling in the rest of the design, going right up next to and even kind of mixing with that shadow color that I added already. Well, like I said, this does take a while. This video is sped up just to make it a little bit easier to watch. This entire design on the top took me about 35 minutes, which really isn't too long, especially that includes breaks. I'm going in here with the white. I'm using a slightly larger tip. I used a number 3 tip with the white to fill in the design and fill in the rest of the cake. I found that by using a slightly larger tip, it gives me a little bit of contrast in the design, and it makes those smaller dots of the Celtic knot just stand out a little bit more. If you're interested in this design and what this Celtic knot is, it's basically my version of a design called a Luckenbooth. A Luckenbooth is a Scottish design that was made. There are a lot of different ideas of where it came from, but most people say that it was designed in Edinburgh, and it was given by Mary, Queen of Scots, to her first husband, Lord Darnley, and normally there are 2 intertwining hearts. I've kind of taken a few liberties, and you'll see a lot of different versions of a Luckenbooth if you Google it or look at jewelry especially. That's how the Luckenbooth design was originally created, was as jewelry and made into a brooch. So I was just sitting the way I do watching TV with my husband one night, and I started doodling, and this is the design I came up with, just my version of a Luckenbooth. So here I am continuing the design. I try to make sure that I avoid doing straight lines. If you do straight lines in your design, it can be very noticeable that you've got straight lines. So I kind of vary the approach and make swirly little areas instead of a straight line of dots. It helps to just kind of make the design a little bit more pleasing. And we finished up the dots on the top, which really didn't take too long, and I'm going to add a little bit of a border. This was just to give me some color and finish off the top, and I'm just doing kind of an X pattern with a star tip. I used a small star tip. You can do any kind of a design around the edge that you want to. I just felt this kind of added to the look of the Celtic knot. Transferred my cake to a cake plate. I'm just going to add a nice simple little shell border to the bottom of the cake just to give it a little bit of finishing touch. And there you have our finished Celtic Pointillism Design cake. Super simple technique for a really stunning look. Thanks for checking out Global Bakes, and I'll see you next time.